It's great speaking to you whilst you're eating, because it guarantees that everybody will be quiet and I can talk about whatever I want to without being disturbed. So feel free, carry on eating, because you have a tight schedule and I don't want you to blame me for being late for your next appointment. After the introduction given by Eli, it's really challenging with the time that I was given what to talk about and how to talk about. And I know I'm addressing a group of very strong supporters of Israel, people that we owe a lot to them for the attempt and for the efforts that you're doing wherever you come from, and we're extremely appreciative of that. And I think it's important to start first of all with a word of thanks. But then getting to the point and to what I was asked to talk about, I'm extremely excited today. I'm going through some emotional experience which started off last night, which kept me on from sleeping for quite a while. And it started off with breakfast this morning before I even met you. And last night, when I couldn't fall asleep, I was watching the Israeli TV, and the Israeli TV broadcasted a documentary film about our late president, Yitzhak Navon. Yitzhak Navon was a president when I was a child, and he was the first Israeli leader to meet the Egyptian president. And when he went to visit President Sadat, completely off protocol, he said to him, "Listen, Mr. President, I'm interested in seeing where were you born." President Sadat was thrown off the chair, was a bit surprised by the off-protocol request, but was so touched that this foreign president coming to his country, and the first thing he's interested in seeing in Egypt is not Cairo, not the pyramids. He wants to see where the leader was born and brought up. President Sadat changed the whole itinerary and took the whole convoy to see his old village where he was brought up. President Sadat says later in that documentary, he was so touched that this president wants to see the origins of his counterpart, that changed already the whole relationship. And why could I not fall asleep last night? Because this morning, in my sukkah, in this temporary dwelling, I hosted over 100 people. Over 100 people, some of them from my community. That's completely natural. Some of them high-rank police officers. That's quite natural in Israel for a mayor to be in good contacts with the police. Some generals from the IDF, which is also quite normal for mayors in Judea and Samaria to have good connections in the army. The surprising guests to the sukkah were my Palestinian neighbors. It was so surprising that it's the first time that it's happened in the 34 years that Efrat is in existence. Now, Efrat is a very unique place. I claim it's not the only unique place. I claim that also where you have come from today, Hebron, has the same uniqueness. At the end of the day, you see Jews and Muslims driving the same roads, shopping in the same supermarkets, and living one alongside the other. The problem is, what does the world see? Now, how did that breakfast come about? We are in very good relationships of such nature that I go and visit the Arab village on a regular basis. Not escorted by any security forces, not police, no army. I go into the village, I come out of the village completely unarmed, completely unhurt. When I come into the village, I'm treated as if the Almighty has come. The food and beverages that they spread on the table puts me in shame as to what we're serving you here today, and even with what's going to come soon, because they literally believe that I've got the power to change things. And what happened in the last few months, we have started realizing that they are seeking stronger relationship with the settlers, with the Jews living in this region. The first incident happened 3 months ago. It was a Muslim festival, and like we always do, I went into the Arab village and visited and paid my respect. And I came with a whole delegation. It was a week that there were 2 tragedies happening in Judea and Samaria. We had one young girl who was slaughtered in her bed in Hebron, in Kiryat Arba. And we had one father being shot dead whilst he was driving in his car with his kids in the back seat, Rabbi Miki Mar. And I come into this Palestinian village and I say to them, listen, I've come to show my respect for you celebrating your festival. But you have to understand that I've got families who are mourning back in my community. Families who have lost their beloved for just being Jewish people. And they say to me the following, Oded, listen, we're against violence. We're condemning violence. And I tell them, I believe you, but that's a bit too little and a bit unheard. There are too many people around the world which are not hearing your voice. Now, the uniqueness about the visits to the village is that they always allow me to come without press and without cameras. Halfway through the visit, today everybody's got a smartphone. They start taking out their smartphones and start taking photos. The following day, I see that the photos that were taken in the village the day before actually appear on their Facebook page. They were all of a sudden proud of me actually paying a visit to their village. The second incident happened about a month ago, a tragedy. It is Saturday night. A young driver drives out of Efrat. It's night, it's dark. He doesn't see a young girl crossing the road, and he runs her over. He runs her over whilst her sister, her twin sister, is present at the scene and actually sees her running her over. The medical team that comes has to declare the young 6-year-old girl dead, and then we find out that she's a Palestinian living in the village nearby. We start following what's happening in the Palestinian websites, and we see that this 6-year-old is declared a shaheed. I, as the local mayor, already started seeing scenes of this being Duma number 2. Because you can accuse the Israeli driver running over this innocent young girl and say that we did that on purpose. What do you do? How do you prevent this snowball growing into something which is way beyond our capability to handle and manage? I phone a friend and I tell him, listen, I want you to convey a message to the family that I want to come and show my respect. They were extremely excited about me wanting to come. It took about 2 days to arrange the visit, and I show up in the morning's house. I show up, and 3 minutes after I show up, the mayor of El Khader shows up in his big black Palestinian Authority limousine, and my paying respect visit turned into a business meeting. He came with a whole list of things because he was standing before the elections were cancelled in the Palestinian Authority, and he wanted to be re-elected. And he came with a whole list of things that he wanted me to help him arrange. Some completely minor, pathetic issues. Help me clean the road, help me open this gate, fix the street lamps. And by the way, because this young girl was actually run over here, please also try and make sure that we have some speed bumps to slow down the traffic here. All of a sudden it dawned me. It dawned me that we have so much in common, that two local mayors living one across the street from another can cooperate on so many basic things. Why not give it a shot? I started making a few phone calls. I managed to arrange for speed bumps to be installed 3 weeks after the car accident. In my city, it would have taken me 3 months. Why? I phoned the IDF general, I phoned the commander of the police, they saw the necessity, they brought the funds. In no time it was installed. So when they came this morning for the breakfast, all of a sudden there was something mutual in the sukkah that we all understood in there. Now you're sitting and eating in a sukkah. What's unique about the sukkah is that during this time of the year, when the temperatures are going down, when we're starting to pray for rain, we're doing the completely unnatural thing. It would be completely natural to move into this construction at the beginning of the summer, to enjoy the breeze, to enjoy the spacious, the walls that can move. But yet, when we are starting to fear of the weather, that it will start raining, when it gets colder at night, we are commanded to move and move our life center into the sukkah, to eat in this temporary dwelling, to sleep in this temporary dwelling. And you ask yourself why. And I know there's some religious leaders here. We do this unnatural move on this festival as an act of belief. That we believe that the rain is going to start just the day after we finish performing the religious experience of living in the sukkah. We believe that the fact that the wall can move and the fact that the walls are flexible is a sign that we think about how we live our lives. Whether we like to live behind rigid walls and rigid boundaries and no room for flexibility and no room for understanding the other, or we are willing to invite into our sukkah also people that we don't necessarily get along with, people that we might not always share the same ideas and the same beliefs with. And when you come into our sukkah, and when I invited my Palestinian neighbors into the sukkah, it's a sign of not just having faith in God, but also having faith in human beings. And if people think that peace will start from a UNESCO resolution, or from the Security Council resolution, or from a president of the United States who has seen this region through a satellite and doesn't realize the proximity and doesn't realize the complexity and doesn't realize the people who are living here, then there's no hope for peace. Now I'm extremely optimistic because I told you at the beginning I'm extremely excited today because I had the honor of hosting Palestinian people in my sukkah. And you should have heard them. You know what they said in front of an IDF general and in front of a general from the police and in front of strangers and in front of cameras. We believe in strengthening the relationship with our neighbors. We have got a lot that we can do together before we solve those major issues. And you've got here the timeline. You can put your finger at any given date on that timeline. The conflict was here, on this ground. The conflict was around the stones that you touched today. But the difference is, are we going to make the difference, or are we going to let this timeline just go through? And as far as I'm concerned, as a local leader, it's my duty to try and make a difference. It's my duty to try and get the people around engaged in building bridges and not building fences. And I'm not taking sides in the American politics elections, because I started using building bridges before some candidates started using building bridges. But I believe that we should try and find ways of building bridges with our neighbors and not walls. Because high fences don't make good neighbors. They create an atmosphere that you're protected, but once you peek over the fence, you realize that you don't know what's going on the other side. And if I've got a message that I want you to take from here today, you have visited the most complex city around the world. You have been in Hebron. You have heard stories about Hebron. You've gone into Hebron and you've come out of Hebron in one piece. There is hope for peace, and we appreciate your attempts around the world, and we are here to help you. We are here to convey those stories. We are here to host those who want to see the reality on the ground and not hear the stories through a satellite dish. Because believe me, and there's a lot of press around here, and they might misquote me, but the press always reports about a man biting a dog and never about a dog biting a man. Because they are looking for the irregular stories. They want to see the blood. They want to see what will make their newspapers sell. It's our job to convey those stories and to spread them around. There's something unique happening here, which we'll be more than happy to share all around the world. So thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your lunch. And if you have any questions, I'm still around. So thank you.